In the meanwhile, let's start with the entertainment. So I don't know if any one of the people here has listened to our latest podcast with Richard Nichols from Airwards, but it was just launched yesterday. This was Scott just kind of barged into that conversation, which was great.
Yeah, I don't know if you can call it a podcast. It was more like a complete interruption of your guys' conversation.
I know. It was super. I mean, it was okay. I think Richard took it pretty well, and we did it once. I think the engagement around it was pretty cool. So you and me are quite the team. So I think we should start thinking about doing this more on a like regular basis. Do some kind of a Scott and Asaf show. What do you think?
If you're asking me to co-host, I'm all in, buddy, because interrupting made me feel kind of bad for like maybe 11 seconds. And then I was okay. And then we got to have Richard on again. That guy is so dynamic, man.
I
Huge
know.
fanboy.
I know. He really is great. He really is great. We also had a conversation about we talked about HVIP recently with Richard, with emotions, and we'll talk in a second about the Halo Value Investment Program. Obviously, this is why we're here, but it was just super fun to see how companies are kind of doing things to push other members of the industry kind of forward and trying to push the whole industry into kind of a more commercial, scalable future. So it's really cool to see what Richard is doing there with Airwards, and I think it's really worth a shout out from us.
Yeah, Richard is really moving the industry forward. And what I really like seeing in the industry as well is, it's not as a competitive landscape as people would expect it to be. It's still fairly nascent, but there's a lot of co-opetition, I would call it, by a lot of different drone companies and different GOs that are very congratulatory of different BVLOS, beyond the visual line of sight missions or accomplishments that they're doing. So it hasn't gotten to that, dog eat dog sort of competitive landscape at all. Everyone's trying to move the industry forward, which is really great to see.
Yeah. Well, at least one market has to be less competitive and just more fun to create in. Am I right?
Yeah.
Well,
a lot of things happening, and a lot of fun within the industry right now. Going from whether it's military or industrial beginnings to getting more into deliveries of medicine, to even having more fun where getting a hamburger or a pizza delivered now. So it's been pretty fun, the evolution so far.
yeah, it's well, we can talk about it right now for a second, but 3-4 weeks ago we were in Hadera, actually here in Israel, where we had in 2 weeks we had 3,800 delivery missions over the city, which was pretty remarkable to see, and humbled that we are also part of it. But it was really nice to see how a lot of kind of different technologies and different people from the industry itself kind of join hands together to show the regulators and honestly the public that needs to accept this, that this is actually a possible viable future. So it was really amazing for us to kind of be there. I know that you really loved seeing it, and you also had a conversation with a few of our partners there.
Yeah, it was really cool to see all the different personas and their perspectives, not only on the industry, but where the industry is going from, even the pedestrians that were there just seeing the drones overhead and being super excited just to see something get delivered by this thing in the air, some of which have never seen this type of, this drone deliveries before. So going from just the general public who were very excited about seeing that, all the way through to the other spectrum of the regulators, making sure that the safety is there, the safety protocols are there in place. And then you have us being part of that vertical integration with not only the drone companies, the drone manufacturers, but us providing the connectivity landscape to make sure you get the certification for it being safe over the public or what have you, and then making sure these types of missions can carry through and be successful, not only operationally, but financially, and to the benefit of the people that they're trying to provide that benefit to, which is the general public at one end for those type of hamburger deliveries and pizza deliveries, then to those who really need the medical assistance where they can't drive to go get inoculations or they can't go get medicine. And these drones have the ability to get there at 70, 80, 90 miles per hour to be able to deliver medicine where, the people just can't get it. So it's completely changing an entire world landscape. It's moving at the pace that it needs to move to in a nascent environment, but it's great to see the evolution and kind of where things are heading.
So, you kind of prepared us for, I think we also have all the people here online, and you kind of prepared us for, what we're here for today. So I'll just give a short introduction of why are we even here. So lately what we've been seeing, and also, being part of the Anama project in Hadera here in Israel, and what Scott mentioned right now is we're looking at a nascent market that is really kind of joining hands to, letting the public know you're going to get your burger or your medicine or your delivery of clothes with a drone, which is kind of, futuristic. I remember when I was about 10, 12, for me, it was kind of, how is this going to happen? And all of a sudden we're seeing drones and, urban air mobility with a lot of different companies doing different things. And we kind of, I know, Scott, I want you to kind of present this, but we had this idea of how do we bring value to this industry? What is the value that Elsight can provide? Let's talk over this kind of connectivity, connection, confidence that we bring to the table. You'll present it in a second, but there are more things that we can do, and we realized that we can do a lot more. So we kind of launched this program, and the sheer volume of interest was unbelievable. And this is why we're here in this live call, to kind of let the people know what are we talking about. So Scott, this is all you, my friend.
Well, thanks, buddy. And it's been interesting. Obviously, we're a company that provides a solution to many different industries, and specifically, we're talking about the drone UAV type of industry today. But in light of kind of what was going on with COVID and Israel leading the way with inoculations, we started thinking as early as the beginning of this year as to do we have a responsibility, not just, in the drone industry, but do we have a responsibility to the entire industry as a whole to be able to move it forward? And we started this notion of really reaching out to our clients and to potential prospects as to, what is the value that you really need right now? Set aside that Elsight has this solution, which obviously we're excited about, and I'll talk about in a moment, but, what is it that you really need from somebody that's in the drone industry? And it was super intriguing to hear some of the answers that were across a myriad of different subjects. So we're talking ones that, strategically, I don't know the best way to be able to kind of migrate or evolve from visual line of sight to beyond the visual line of sight. Where am I going to get the manpower, the pilots, and exactly what type of software do I need to do it? How do I grow my business? And there's others to where, which platform should I be utilizing? Some of the big brand name platforms, or should I go ahead and manufacture my own? What do you suggest? And then where do you think the industry is going from a connectivity certification perspective? And, all of these different questions about operationally and financially really came to a head where we're collecting all this information. And we're like, okay, we're trying to do something of greater good for the entire industry. We have all these strategic and operational and financial questions, and where's the market heading to? And we tried to assimilate all this into, okay, again, what is our responsibility and what can we do as a company that also offers a solution? And that's where, the epiphany was to come up with this Halo Value Investment Program, which any sort of investment program immediately brings to mind, financial benefits, and those are definitively there. But what we're also trying to do is incorporate in, what we're looking to do for the industry, which is strategically and operationally. So the program is designed for those companies that really want a better understanding strategically how they evolve from visual line of sight to beyond the visual line of sight. What are some of the operational perspectives you need to have in mind in order to move your company in that direction and start looking at more profitability, more growth, and more scale? Do you need to keep an eye on regulation? All of these different things we've incorporated into the program to act as a partner as well as an investment partner in your business to be able to move that forward. So that's the foundation of the program. That's the evolution of where it came from. and we'll certainly get into the details, but let me see if that answered your question there, Sal.
Yeah, it definitely answered mine, and I think everybody's questions. We're already getting also a few questions. I just want to, before we kind of begin to going into depth with the program, all the questions will be answered either in the middle or the end of this live event. We're here to answer anything you want, and also after we finish this, you can always reach out to either Scott or myself on LinkedIn. We're always available to answer any question. Scott, correct me if I'm mistaken. You love LinkedIn. So that will be super easy to answer there. And we can also set kind of a discussion or discovery call so you can learn a little bit more. So without further ado, and again, questions noted to the end, Scott, please, this is yours. Show us the program.
Certainly. So essentially kind of what I want to do is jump right into, here's what we're going to touch upon today. And hopefully as we go through this, it'll answer most of your questions. As Asaf said, we'll get to all the questions that we possibly can today within the time period that we have. If not, we'll make sure that we assimilate all of the questions and we put it out as part of, I'm sure we're going to be putting out a recording and everything of this on from Asaf. So we'll make sure we answer those questions or provide an FAQ type of thing afterwards. But essentially, in talking about the program is, the first thing that Elsight wants to do is obviously our core competence, which is deliver absolute connection confidence. So providing a component that's going to make sure that you always have that connectivity to your drone, whether it's for command and control, whether it's for detect and avoid, or it's collecting data. I don't care if it's surveillance or survey, or making sure that you're delivering to the right spot to drop the hamburger for the kid. It doesn't matter. You need to have that connectivity there to ensure that you're going to have mission success, which is ultimately the goal. So again, we're also trying to move the industry forward with the program. We're looking to help companies accelerate their evolution from visual line of sight to beyond the visual line of sight operations, and also to assist with regulatory and certification approvals. Obviously, in order to operate in urban areas and other areas, you have to make sure that you have the ability to make sure that your missions are successful. And you definitively need that communication to be able to be there. So not only are we engaging in the different industry entities, FAA and others, to make sure that we understand the landscape of their decision and even to contribute to some of that decision making and direction. We're able to disseminate that information and kind of tell you where the pulse of the industry is going, because we're sitting there dealing with not only our clients, but also being able to have conversations with those entities themselves. And then we also want to provide a completely carrier agnostic AI-based solution. So again, a lot of our value propositioning and differentiation of our solution itself is the ability to be carrier agnostic and also switch networks and protocols on the fly. Go from RF into 5G to 4G to satellite all the way back down, so you don't ever have to worry whether or not you have that connection to the drone, whether it's stationary or going 100 miles per hour or what have you. And then finally, as I talked about before, we really are here to help any company. I don't care where you are in the life cycle of your evolution, from inception point to growing out a fleet of 100 or 200 drones in the next year or two. We're really here to assist you strategically, operationally, and again, financially. So that's the mission of the program in and of itself. Obviously, the cornerstone of what we're trying to provide with our program is our halo. So you're seeing the halo here in terms of the 4 bonded SIM platform and all the different value propositioning that it has on that platform. I'm not going to go deep into the solution. I'll save that for when I put my sales cap on and try to talk to you about the solution itself. But I really want to focus more on what the program is and the benefits and the value for you all, as opposed to getting into, again, selling the solution right off the bat. When we're talking about the value investment program, I think one of the questions that Asaf touched on earlier was, exactly what are all the program touch points? And it really is, okay, let us understand, what drone platform have you decided upon? Is it something that's quote unquote, something that's majorly manufactured that you can get off the shelf, or is it one that you're building yourself? So once we understand the kind of drone platform you're leveraging, we obviously have integrated with most of the, traditionally available platforms out there. We can even assist you, and here's, best practices for doing that, all the way to, ones that are manufacturing the drones themselves or UAVs, to to where we can provide you all the specification. Here's what you need for lowest power consumption, lowest battery utilization, weight, etc., to make sure that your missions are not only successful, but also profitable. Then we can talk about the vertical integration between our hardware and Jetsons and other things within those different drone platforms to make sure that you completely comprehend the integration and potentially other platforms that you may integrate, whether it's camera or LiDAR or other things that you may need to do. We can help you with those integrations and best practices in terms of leveraging our platform vertically or horizontally with those other capabilities.
Yeah, there was a quick question about this one, Scott. So I had a very specific question about this drone hardware integration. So I have someone that just asked me. He's working with the DJI Matrice 300 RDK, which is the new DJI, and he's working. Currently, he's working on the development kit of DJI, meaning that he can do more things than working with the remote. And he's using a Jetson Nano by NVIDIA. So essentially, if we could for a second conceptualize how would that work, how would he connect Halo to that Jetson on the drone, and how would we assist him to do that as well?
Yeah, so in terms of that, I'm going to talk about our experience in that regard with most of the platform and the players here, not only in Hedera, but also a few in the United States. So I will state that in terms of DJI, the M300, we're completely vertically integrated within that. We've integrated with NVIDIA in terms of providing solutions there and being able to connect with all those different interfaces, specifically for the M300 as well as others. What we've done to assist you, whoever the caller is we've also created videos. We also created best practice FAQ kits in order so you completely understand how we integrate with those different platforms. Now, it's interchangeable with some other things besides NVIDIA and others, but you obviously will be able to understand the interconnection there. And most of the companies, and Asaf, correct me if I'm wrong, most of the companies that were flying in Hedera where we did 100% successful missions, no communication protocol failures whatsoever, leveraged the M300 as a platform of choice.
Yeah, most of it was M300 RDK as a platform of choice, just because it was super reliable, had so many hours of flight. But they were testing a lot of platforms, other platforms too. I believe that we will see in the next 1 to 2 years, we'll see more and more platforms going into the market that are not DJI or Pixhawk based. And that's going to be a big difference in the industry. And we'll talk about it in a second, also kind of the conclusion of, how is it going to look when we move forward? But 100%, yes, we had a very, very, very good success rate. We were working with regulators and with the companies and our customers themselves. And obviously the unmanned traffic management systems that were a big part of this project. And the capabilities and the abilities that they now have that they didn't before really made a difference in this test. So yes, hardware speaking, hardware integration was pretty easy and straightforward. But in terms of capabilities, that was even much more than that. Again, I didn't put my sales hat on, but I did put my marketing hat on right now. So I'll just kind of take it off for a second.
Well, let me speak to an actual use case. So of the companies that were there that were doing these beyond the visual line of sight mission tests, there was one that was not leveraging the platform, was not leveraging Halo, and they were utilizing an M300, and the flexibility of our platform when they started getting some failure on another protocol they were utilizing. When they were getting failure rates, very high failure rates, communication rates, I think above 14% failure rates, we were able to interchange, because of the flexibility of the Halo, interchange their communication protocol, put our Halo on the device, and then from that day forward, they were flying 100% successful missions with no communication failure. So talking a little bit at a high level, but an easily flexible integration level, is our platform. It's easily integrated. They swapped out their communication protocol, put the Halo in on the fly, on site, and we're able to conduct the rest of the missions without any issues. So I guess the big takeaway for that is not only have we integrated with the M300 specifically and other platforms, et cetera, but the high flexibility and interchangeability of our platform was part of the design tree and what we wanted to do, because we understood there would be a lot of vertical and horizontal integrations with different platforms whether off the shelf or built by yourself, we would need to have those easily integratable and flexible capabilities.
Awesome. Okay, let's keep going to the deployment and move forward to the other touch points.
Yeah, so in terms of additionally on the platform is, we understand that whether you're more on the, the military side or need to be a little bit more secure, we've presented the Halo platform as something that can be completely managed within the cloud, or it can be something that can be managed on premise. So it doesn't matter if you need to be in a federated zone, a protected zone, or you need to, because of your company policies or your client's policies, be able to make sure that you have that data within that structured environment. We have flexibility there for cloud managed or private DMZ type of managed on premise. Additionally, everyone who leverages the Halo platform gets access to our AI configuration. And that's going to be incredibly important as companies look to scale, not only operationally, but geographically, as you start to migrate potentially into other countries or other places. Even within, let's say, just utilize the United States or even Israel for that fact, is you have several carriers and several different protocols that you may need to leverage. And as drones are flying over geos and different geographical areas, you may have those networks need to switch. You may go by line of sight when the drone's first taking off, and then being able to go to 5G and 4G. And as it gets way out there, connectivity isn't there, being able to leverage satellite and what have you. Our AI protocols allow you to always use the strongest signal strength. So with the AI, it automatically configures and automatically leverages the best signal strength for completing the mission in that regard, and everyone gets access to that automation protocol. You certainly have the ability to control it to a single carrier or to multi-carriers and make sure that the bond's still there to give you that bandwidth that you need. But it also has the automated flexibility to allow for that swapping of carrier networks as needed to complete the mission.
It is important to say, Scott, on the AI configuration that it's the way that our system works is that we're kind of in order to create that redundancy, it's not only a failover, so we're not moving between the different connectivity capabilities or the different networks. We're actually using all of them concurrently, which I think is a big differentiator for most of our customers.
Yeah, it's huge, and sometimes because we just know that our bonding capability is really a huge differentiator across the entire industry, not just for the OEM component, but also within the broadband space and others. That sometimes we forget to really talk about it, because that is part of the bread and butter of what we provide. So just to touch upon that for a second is, you essentially have 4 independent modems leveraging 4 independent SIMs on the device. So you can have 4 independent carriers. Now, those 4 carriers, we bond that connection into one single bandwidth pipe. So you're able to leverage the connectivity strength of all those different carrier landscapes, be able to make sure that you have the bandwidth available and seamlessly interact. So you're never utilizing bandwidth. The players may change, mid-flight or what have you, but you're never not having the bandwidth that you need to have available to you. And because we're leveraging those 4 different signals and bonding it, you also have a security layer that is atypical as well. So we're basically breaking apart the signal, sending the data over those 4 independent signals, and then restructuring it on the other side, putting it back together, decrypting it, and making sure that the data flows through that bandwidth pipe. So not only do you have the connected bandwidth, the bonding, but you also have the security protocol on top of that, which, depending upon the data in which you're carrying, is super important, and also helps you in terms of client engagement, different types of clients you may engage with. Being able to provide that security protocol is big.
Yeah, I think that for again, going back to what we said, the value investment program is here to help those companies grow, the drone companies grow, and service providers and enabling technologies that are in this industry we did this for them so they can move forward. And when you talk about this kind of reliability and that redundancy and security layers and, utilizing every network available, that is something that when you put it out there to the end customer, right, and you tell them, look, I'm going to do surveillance or surveying in your industrial site, you're not going to have downtime, not because of the connectivity anyway, right? It's not the only way that you're going to have downtime if the drone, it doesn't work, right? But on the connectivity side and getting video feed and data and real time, analyzing it, making decisions, I think it's a real differentiator when you look at it, when you're trying to quote unquote sell your platform or your service to someone that is an end user.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of the value propositioning to the end customer itself is, one, you don't have to worry about mission failures. It's not going to happen because of the connectivity protocol. And again, the differentiator is it's not a redundant connection. If this doesn't work, then try this one. No, it's always on all the time, looking for those independent signals and then bonding that together so you don't have any bandwidth failure. So you're always going to have mission completion in that regard. Also, because of the platform itself is the lightest weight, lowest power consumption, then you're able to fly longer without having to recharge and do other things. So you also have longer missions you can do, which is also beneficial to the end customer. It also saves you operationally by not having to recharge all the time. And you can also have a lighter drone, which obviously plays into the ability to fly longer, faster, etc. So there's a lot of different things you can do in terms of leveraging the platform that actually extends out the value proposition to the end customers. So again, I think we definitely, I could talk all day about the value proposition of our actual platform, the Halo, but I want to make sure I continue touching upon the additional benefits that you get as part of the value investment program. So a lot of times during those conversations with different clients and prospects is we found that, they had their core competency, which is really, the drone mission, being able to provide that capability, whether it's drone manufacturing for others, whether it's, configuring the drone for particular type of missions, putting on the vertical assemblies or the horizontal capabilities, camera, LiDAR, whatever it would be. But one of the things that they don't want to have to deal with is dealing with all the different operators, dealing with the different carriers, dealing with the different plans and the different bills. And, how do I make sure that this is activated? How do I know it's on? How do I know I'm optimizing the right plan that I should be on, whether the drone has downtime or it's flying? So one of the things that we do provide because of our expertise there is not only the connectivity protocols with the carriers. I mean, we're aggregating all of our client connections to be able to provide you that economies of scale of discounted connectivity, but we also, have dealt with the carriers. So we know how to work with them. We know how to get the specialized contracts. We can handle the activation, the kitting, configuration, imaging, and basically provide you the communication protocol ready to go when you're ready to go on a mission. So all of those things, we take on those type of life cycle and support services to be able to assist you. So if I take that up one level and look at where people are within the evolution of them going from visual line of sight to beyond the visual line of sight, we're really helping you strategically to develop the type of program you would need. Flight operations, autonomous, connectivity, regulation, certification, and then managing exactly what you need to do from start to finish in terms of making sure you have the connectivity and making sure that you're able to optimize the cost on that connectivity to make your missions even more profitable or make what you're reselling or selling to some of your customers more profitable. So we really are that complete landscape of strategic, operational, and financial assistance that we're providing to make sure you're able to scale and grow and do that extremely profitably.
Super
so
awesome.
In terms of key takeaways, before I'm sure we have more questions to get to, is, again, our mission is to move the industry forward. And that's not a selfless mission. I mean, let's be honest, I'm a sales guy here, that by moving the industry forward, it also allows for the opportunity for us to put more halos into those type of vehicles. So we do want to move the industry forward. We want to create some velocity there, but we do want to do it in a measured and intelligent way by assisting clients, no matter, again, if you're just starting out or you're ready to, extend your fleet out 50, 60 drones or 100 drones over the next year or two. So that's what the program is designed to do, is move the entire industry forward on a global basis. And, we are here to assist you, again, no matter where you are in your evolution. Starting out, thinking about it, you're at the inception point, you're getting ready to think about getting ready to do something. Or again, like I said, you're ready to really grow and expand on a global basis. We're here to assist you no matter where you are. And the program was designed to provide that immediate impact for the participants. So again, by working with us on the strategy side, we'll help you to make intelligent decisions as to what you may want to do from an operational standpoint, from a platform standpoint, which platform might be best. What are some of the other players that I should work with, whether NVIDIA or other protocols? What are some of flight operations software that I might want to utilize for autonomous flights? We're able to assist you in terms of either putting together with some of the partners that we have, so you can have a conversation with them and a no obligation conversation. It's really just a strategic roundtable to be able to ask your questions without fear of, trying to be sold something or what have you. We're able to put those conversations together for you. As well as, in terms of immediate impact, if you're ready to start moving towards BVLOS, then we're able to assist you to not make the mistakes of, doing the wrong contract with a particular carrier for connectivity, where you're paying for that as opposed to worrying about the profitability of your missions. We also designed the program with complete flexibility. So in terms of being locked into anything, you're not really locked into being part of the program or a certain number of halos or all of that. We give you the benefit of the doubt, but we also give you the benefit of the doubt of flexibility. Things may move faster, you may grow faster, you may not grow as fast. So there's flexibility built into the program to make sure it's customized to the individual participants that we're working with. We have a framework that's built for all, but it doesn't mean we're not customizing to your particular need. And then finally, I would say another key takeaway would be, reach out for a discovery session. There's no obligation. There's no big qualification protocol or something you need to fill out like a home mortgage or something like that. It's not like that at all. We really want to better understand, what you're looking to accomplish, what your outcome-based goals are, and then reverse engineering to say, how can Elsight get you there? What do we need to do? Is it a crawl, walk, run scenario? Is there something in the headlights in which we need to be aware of to really help you get there quicker? Let's just have a discovery session, again, roundtable that, and then let's figure out how we can best assist you. So with that being said, I'll turn it back over to you, Asaf.
Yeah. So I had a backlog of questions coming right after what you said, which was pretty cool to hear. Honestly, it's the first time I'm hearing it like that as well, because there's some sort of fear with the word qualification. And I've received a few questions that are saying, what does it mean to qualify? What are some reason I might not be able to qualify? Is there a qualification process? There's some kind of fear with that qualification. So maybe we should make it a little bit more clear as to what does that actually mean? So if I start, let's say I'm a drone company going into the process, what would be my process?
Yeah, actually the qualification does not sit on your side. The qualification sits on our side. So when we're having those roundtable discussions, it might be at the point to where, Elsight at your current position, we may not be able to provide the type of assistance that you need, in the sense that, you're not ready to move forward into BVLOS. You just kind of want to assimilate some information. So qualifying us to be ready to assist you, it may just be from a strategic standpoint, and there's no obligation there. Like I said, we're just here to roundtable that. The benefit for us in terms of doing that is, again, we're collecting more information. We're getting to know where people are within this industry and maybe come up with other programs that may be of assistance based upon where you are in your life cycle and your evolution. For those companies that we're able to assist immediately, we're finding that there's not a one size fits all, but typically companies that have a fleet of about 10 drones right now, or they're moving into, going into 10 or 50 to 100, we're able to provide a huge amount of assistance there, where if I would sit there and say, what's my quote unquote ROI on this? We find a higher level for those companies that, do have a fleet of 10 or more, where we're seeing the maximum or higher yield benefit. For those companies that are 10 or less, or 1 to 2 or 3, you guys are getting most of the benefit. We're not getting most of the benefit because, we're just helping you strategically. We're helping you kind of maneuver and plan and architect what you might need to do from an operational standpoint before you're actually pulling the trigger and starting to do things. So for those companies underneath 10, it's mostly you qualifying us to determine whether or not you're ready to leverage our platform. We may just be providing, strategic and foundational information for you. And for those companies that are ready to move forward, then we really kind of talk about strategically what we do from a platform, what are best practices in order to leverage our system. And then we go through a process to where we're customizing the program for you. Where do you think you're going to be within 6 months, within 12 months, within 24 months? And then we reverse engineer what the program looks like to provide you that benefit of the doubt of cost for our platform, discounting it based upon where you're going to be 24, 36 months out with flexibility built into the program. So you're not, locked into that, but we build that in to say, okay, if you're going to be here in 24 months, here's the maximum discount where we can provide where you could be in 24 months. And then that way we're helping you, which obviously will make you more profitable as you start to initiate those services, as opposed to building up your economies of scale. We're giving you the benefit of the doubt. That's our investment in you as a company and saying we 100% are behind you. We know you're going to get there in 24 months or 36 months or 12 months. So let's give you the benefit of the doubt, help you to be profitable, to maybe reinvest some of those dollars into your business, into growth, which in the long term, again, helps us.
Yeah, that was I think a perfect explanation to essentially what we're trying to do with these companies, and we kind of zoomed in. So I want to just pull back for a second. There was a really general question that I kind of liked, which is why do we think this is even needed? So why are we even launching this, right? So we talked about a little bit about the beginning. We touched base on that, but it's really interesting for people to understand it.
Yeah, and giving a little bit of who I am in this thing is I'm a crazy whiteboarder. So I whiteboard everything, and what we were kind of looking at was assimilating all the different conversations that we were having with all the different companies and resellers and distributors and channel partners we were engaging with. And that's just not on the drone side, but also on the broadband side. All of the definitive value propositions that the Halo solution provides. And as we were starting to kind of write up, here are the questions that we're getting, here are some of the things that we need to start doing in terms of where the industry is going, all of that precipitating down into, what people needed. And it really became, what is needed now? And right now, what is really needed based upon all the information that we collected was one, which platforms do I use? Strategically, which platforms do you think are going to be the ones for the next 1 or 2 years that are going to be leveraged the most? I want to make sure that every dollar I spend in terms of putting into my fleet is the right solution that I should be doing right now. It may change in a couple of years, but where are you looking out in terms of that lens in the future? And people really kind of wanted to know what we were hearing, and all the companies that we were talking to, okay, which platform are you on? And, it came down to a few that are the typical ones you're going to hear, and then some others that are manufacturing their own. So we kind of get that information as to, strategically, these are the questions they're getting asked. And then it gets into, operational questions as in, okay, how does this vertically integrate? What am I going to have to do in terms of, making sure that this integrates into lowest power consumption or smallest form factor? What are some of the ones in terms of how do you implement it? Where do you put it on the drone? Where do you put the antennas? How can I operate this particular drone so I can do multiple missions without having to do a recharge? Or how can I fly, 5 or 6 at once autonomously? And all of these questions started coming in, and we started saying, okay, one, we know from a core standpoint, they need the communication, regulation, certification. You need to make sure that you always have that constant contact with the drone, so you can go in order to get, your certification or waivers or what have you. Look, regulation body, this is how I'm connecting to my drone. This is the connection confidence that I have in being able to manage those missions because I'm integrated on this platform. I'm operating under this protocol. Here's, how I'm doing it. Here's why I'm doing it. And, all of these different things kept on precipitating down into, I need help strategically. I need help operationally, not in just putting the communication protocol onto the device, but how do I work with getting the connectivity? You know, how am I going to migrate easily from going RF line of sight to going into 4G? And should I be thinking about 5G, or do I need to think about satellite, which is super expensive? But, you know, what do I need to think about? Pardon me, and how would I even manage these relationships with all these multiple entities or carriers or what have you? Is there a better carrier in a particular zone in Africa versus one that's in the United States or one that's in Australia? And all this information started kind of coming to us, and we're like, you know what, we really need to help people from just the inception point, designing what their program can be. And then a lot of people are coming and saying, look, I'm going to be out there. I'm going to be developing funding. I'm going to go get funding for being able to grow there. I'm growing from, you know, visual line of sight to beyond the visual line of sight. You know, how can I get that financial benefit now? And it really came down to, okay, this Halo value investment program is value to the participants as immediate as possible. What can be not only measurable, but that can be trackable in terms of the value that we're providing. Again, providing that consultative information. And then how can we help them financially? Is there some sort of level of investment that we can provide to these companies? And our level of investment is highly discounting our platform, giving you the benefit of looking to the future, 24 months of where you can be in order to provide that discounting and make sure you're profitable from day one moving forward. So that's really where the kind of the program inception and why it was needed is not because we decided to build something. It's actually because we kept on getting these answers, and the precipitate was, I need help here, I need help here, I need help here. How can we design a program that really touches upon all of those standpoints to help anybody, again, no matter where they are in their evolution?
Yeah, it's also, you know, we talked here about the, you know, money and revenues and the platform itself and integrations and platforms, but I just want to give a real life example of how HVIP could work. So one of our customers who is currently operating in the NAMA initiative, and they operated obviously in Khadera this time, they were having a hard time creating marketing content. Easy as that, creating content for their own marketing efforts, right? And I think that this can kind of present the real value. We are here to help. We are here as partners. And what we did is we partnered with them, helped them to create enough materials that they need, connected them to any professional or that can create the content for them. For this instance, video. We brought in a video guy to make sure that they're filmed, interviewed, and they have all the materials they need, because, you know, their success is always our success. So I think that, you know, if I take it out, if I zoom out a bit from, you know, revenue and connectivity and Halo, this is actually just a partners program. If you need a partner to grow from line of sight to beyond the visual line of sight, if you need a partner to grow from a nascent, very, very, very early market idea into putting it out completely into the commercial market and going beyond the visual line of sight, I think this is actually what we're trying to do, and we are extremely flexible, and it was designed with that flexibility in mind to help those other companies do that. And we about a week ago we saw the launch of the Orchid drone delivery service back in Colombia, which was just beautiful to see how, you know, they integrated Halo inside, obviously, and they're using it as their connectivity platform. But the way that everything was kind of meshed and working together as part of what we're doing really helped them kind of do this launch. And when I talked to Santiago Pinzon a day after, he was so excited. He was like, guys, you don't even understand how crazy it is, because now people want to work with our business because they know they can connect with confidence. They know they can get a video feed and analytics and data. And regulation, even in Latin America, are now more keen to let me do my business so I could launch it earlier than I was planning to do, right? So I think it's also in the small things, in those small roundtable conversations, the openness of how we provide the information. And honestly, Scott, and I love, you said that to Richard as well, but there's some kind of purity in saying we want to kind of show how, or help this industry do what it needs to do and get it where it needs to be. And I think we both know where we want it, where we need it to be in terms of commercial, beyond the visual line of sight, delivery, survey, inspection, and whatnot. But I think it starts with those small companies, with those small ideas, and actually with information and data sharing. So I think it's a big part of the program that we've mentioned, but it's really important because I had a lot of questions of, what else? More than connectivity, more than AI, what do you do for us?
Yeah.
So I think this would be one example.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about a lot here at Elsight that we, as a true leader for what we provide in terms of the connectivity space, and I invite and challenge anyone to find a solution such as ours in the market on what we're able to provide, and have conducted as many missions, successful missions as we have. But aside from all that, is we definitively feel here at Elsight we have a responsibility to the industry. We have a responsibility to all the players that exist within the industry to help the industry move forward. And that's one of the things that makes us such a fanboy of, what Airwards is doing and what Richard is doing, is because he's, not selfishly trying to move the industry forward, calling out attention to all these companies that are doing things, drones for good in that regard, and making sure that, the spotlight's on them. And that spotlight allows other people to, vector in where they're going in terms of their direction. So again, we definitively feel we have a responsibility to the entire industry to move it forward. I would also say that the program in and of itself, we get this question a lot, is it transactional? And it's not transactional. That's the complete wrong lens to look at the program. So as Asaf was talking about, in terms of helping, Orchid, we're helping them from a marketing standpoint. We're helping them from a planning standpoint. We're helping them from a cost standpoint. And we're doing that for other companies. We're doing that for, a large entity in the United States, announcements coming. And we're not only helping them with, designing a drone network operations center, how they can manage all that, but we're also looking at optimizing moving forward. So how can we help you be able to optimize what you're able to do from a company standpoint? So it's not transactional. We don't stop holding your hand. And I think the analogy I use sometimes is, look at us as that overprotective father that always has the hands on the back of the bicycle when he's teaching his kid how to ride the bike. And we don't get our hand away until the kid reaches around and slaps your hand away and says, I got it. So we're here to help, no matter whether it's, the marketing aspects, success assurance, making sure that you're successful in whatever you're trying to achieve. But it by no means is a transactional relationship. As a matter of fact, I'd even go as far to say is we're not interested in transactional relationships. We're interested in partnerships.
Yeah, that's definitely kind of a bottom line sentence there, that we are not looking for those. I would call it just sell and take our platform, buy it, put it on your drone, and good luck. We are really trying to build something bigger here that is really transformational in terms of the ecosystem. So that was really amazing. Unfortunately, we don't have time for more questions. We do have a few more in line, and I promised everybody who sent them out. We will send out a few like a fact sheet, FAQ sheet with all the information and answers to all the questions that you had. Scott, if there's a kind of one sentence that you want to summarize this on your end, and then I kind of close it up.
Again, I would say, the discovery session with us is one where we roundtable. So by no means do not feel like this is a sales discussion that we'll have. It's more of a discovery session. And I can say, and I posted this on a previous video link, if you want to check it out on LinkedIn, is, we've been humbled by, three different things. Number one is that the coverage that we're getting by those companies and those individuals that cover the drone industry in talking about the Halo Value Investment Program. I mean, we knew we were going to have some people interested in what Elsight is trying to accomplish, but the coverage that we're getting there is super humbling. We're also, almost apologetic to all the different drone and UAV companies, because we are, about a week out. You can schedule time with me or members of my team and Asaf to be able to have those individual roundtable discussions where, we bring in someone, myself, we bring in Asaf on the marketing side. We also have people that are experts in terms of, the platforms, as well as the more IT and network related questions you may have. So we get down deep technically, and it's just a roundtable session to understand you and you to understand us. So those appointments are like a week out right now, just because of the sheer volume of people that are asking us to have those discussions. So by all means, I promise we're going to get to everyone, but that has been incredibly humbling by the amount of volume. I mean, we expected some interest, but we didn't expect the volume of interest that we've gotten. And that's part of the reason we're having this webinar today. And we'll conduct a few more webinars in different time zones, is because we need to have the information put out there in a wider fashion, because those individual sessions, you know, we're doing as fast and furiously as we possibly can. But again, we need to disseminate more information to everyone. You'll see on this page here that my contact information is there. You can certainly reach out to me, as Asaf said, on LinkedIn, fairly active on LinkedIn. We also have partners that you'll see that can assist in terms of answering any questions as well. So if there, again, as Asaf said, if there's one takeaway, reach out, let's have a discovery session. If we're not able to work together at this particular point right now, again, it's not a transactional discussion. It's more of a strategic and discussion as to where you are now and where we might be able to help you in the future. And if we can't help you, I promise that we have an entire ecosystem of partners that are working with us and saying, hey, if you have somebody that needs this, have them talk to us. We're happy to assist you to say, hey, you know, for your particular use case, you might want to talk to these guys versus these guys, or geographically, you might want to work with these guys versus these guys. We're happy to have those discussions as well. Again, it all moves the industry forward.
Scott, first of all, I want to thank you for taking the time to present this. I know that, again, you have meetings all day, every day. No one even knows how hard you work to make sure that these companies, those drone companies, are actually getting what they need and they're set up for success. So I want to thank you for that on my name, but also in the name of the industry, to what you're doing with Elsight as well. What I'll do, a quick conclusion is you are going to have access to the recording of this webinar. You are going to have access to the slides themselves. So you'll be able to download it and use it and take a look more thoroughly if you want to. As I said before, we're going to publish an FAQ with all the questions we didn't have time to answer. And we were going to conduct this in different time zones. So just, look for it if you want to join another session, or if you want to hear this again, or obviously if you want to reach out, it's time to reach out to us. I think that's about it in terms of HVIP, and we're really excited. We're waiting to hear from you.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Asaf. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.